Hi everybody, my name's Elias Collins. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm currently living in Antofagasta, Chile. After watching the Petra Costa interview for the Oscar, actually because of the Oscar that she's running for on documentary, I have to say first, she shouldn't be running for documentary. She should be running for science fiction because her movie, Democracy's Edge, is a really well documented science fiction movie that would make even George Lucas envious of her work because she's good in inventing, another worlds, other, parallel universes, and even lies. Yeah, because she lied a ton of times on that interview. And after watching this interview, I was, deciding for a couple of days if whether or not I would be, touching this interview and talking about it. But the repercussions were so bad for the Brazilians. And the interview was really, really a lied-filled scheme of, painting Brazilians as stupid people that I had decided I had to talk about it. So I took a lot of notes, as you can see here. And I'll be reading these notes because, I make a review of point by point on this lying interview that she, performed on American television, probably live or it was recorded, I don't know. I watched it via YouTube, so I can really tell. Let's start then. First, Petra Costa is a pathological liar. Her allegations about Bolsonaro's government and how he won the elections couldn't be farther from the truth or reality, for that matter. Besides being disrespectful towards her own people, she called Brazilians blind believers and stupid. She went as far as inventing that as part of a well-schemed fake news campaign, the people were led to believe that Manuela Dávila had a satanic baby with a demon, and that was part of how Bolsonaro won the election. Come on, guys. Really? Really? Petra Costa? Where did you find that kind of data? And she was even telling on this interview that, some companies were paying for other companies to, spread this false news, those fake news about Manuela Dávila having a baby with a demon, and that last-minute votes were crucial to the Bolsonaro to win the campaign in the election. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Bolsonaro was, winning on the polls since the beginning of the 2018 year. And he was campaigning and he was winning more and more votes by each city he was visiting. And he organically won all those votes because everybody that, was trying to support Bolsonaro's election, they were spreading the word about Bolsonaro by themselves with nobody paying for them. I know that because I was one of those people, so I helped out electing Bolsonaro big time. So continuing. Using the very same narratives from all other leftists and the Workers' Party members, she starts the interview lying to the whole space that sometimes, in disbelief, makes some funny facial expressions. She says that Brazil was part of a dictatorial regime, another lie, which Brazil's military years were loved by the people that begged to the force not to allow the countries to fall into communist scuba hand, okay? She also lied yet again just a few moments later in her interview, talking about hundreds of thousands of deaths, another lie. Come on, guys, really? Hundreds of thousands of deaths in the military regime? Between deaths and people that disappeared, the number is about 4,500 people. So 4,500 people were killed or disappeared during the military regime. But if you take into consideration, we were in the middle of a war against violent communist militias, and the number is quite low, which is true, because the militias that were trying to implement communism in Brazil were pretty violent and really well armed and well trained by the Russian government and the Cuba's government by that time. So we were fighting a war inside of our own country against communism. And they were attacking, they were bombing, they were hijacking airplanes. So it was pretty harsh sometimes, the military response, but it was necessary and it was a war. So if you're prepared to fight a war, you have to be prepared to die. You have to be prepared to suffer, some losses. Unfortunately, that's war. You either win or lose, and they lost and they cry about it. And unfortunately, only their voices are heard. Okay. What she forgot to mention on her so-called documentary is more of a low-budget science fiction movie than anything else, was that the communists bombed airports, attacked military bases, and Dilma Rousseff was responsible for the death of a soldier. Yes, Dilma Rousseff was responsible for the death of this soldier here that I'm showing the picture to you guys. She bombed a military base with a truck. Okay, with the money that she stole from a bank with her ex-husband, and this soldier was killed by Dilma Rousseff. But the history nobody talks about. Okay, Petra also talks about the resistance against the dictatorship. Another lie. They were not resisting. Russia and Cuba were desperate to have their claws on Brazilian skin because they knew that Brazil was crucial to implement the Communist Union in Latin America. They were trying to get hold of Brazil's implementing a communist dictatorship. So they were not resisting anything at all. Okay? The communists, they were trying to get hold of Brazil because they knew that Brazil was crucial to implement, communist union throughout Latin America, because Russia and Cuba couldn't get a hold of the United States, but they did a really good job trying to get a hold of Brazil and trying to get a hold of the rest of Latin America through Brazil. But fortunately for us, the people demanded that the military would fight back, and they did, and we were freed from communist clutches, okay? They were trying to hold, okay. In a point of her movie, she shows a picture of Dilma and says that she was being questioned after 22 days of intense torture. Another filthy lie. Another filthy and dirty lie. Only highly trained, strong, and mentally prepared soldiers, after years of intense, painful training, can survive torture. Not a tiny, and at the time skinny woman with no military background whatsoever. Well, here I kind of made a mistake, because Dilma Rousseff had militia training under the Cuban and Russian regime, but she was tiny, she was a skinny woman, and she wouldn't withstand 22 days of intense torture and be in a picture like this, talking to some judges and some police officers like that. She wouldn't be, after 22 days of intense torture, be like that freshen up, okay? She was probably captured on that very same day. And in the picture, you can see she may have been detained for questioning while she was on the streets on that same day. That's what I just talked about to you guys. Continually lying, Petra says that Dilma was impeached by a technicality. No, Petra, no. Petra, she was impeached because she broke the law and she was incompetent and a really poor excuse of an administrator. She was a really poor excuse of an administrator. I can guarantee to you guys. Let us give the correct names to the things, all right, Petra? She says that Lula was really popular back then. That's the first time she did not lie. She did not lie this first time. But nowadays, our President Bolsonaro was elected by the people spending less than $1 million on his campaign. That actually used internet, improvised lights, and organic people engagement to the election on social media. Organic. People were organically spreading the word about Bolsonaro everywhere in social media, either on YouTube or WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter or any other means of social media. At the 8 minutes 51 mark of the interview, she was asked if she was supportive of Lula and Dilma, and she lies one more time. She was asked if she was supportive of Lula and Dilma, and she lies one more time. I'm sorry. Saying that she was critical and supportive at the same time. Come on, Petra. Really? Really, Petra? Your movie was a political campaign to the Workers' Party fair and square. There's no other way to describe it. Come on. You have to be honest, at least with the people who were watching your movies. At the 10 minutes mark, the reporter asks her how much were actually crimes committed by Lula and how much were political constructs. She responded that she had a hard time seeing any hard evidence of any crimes. Petra? What? Are you crazy, woman? Over 700 pages, including photos, videos, purchases documents, and even a journalistic piece that talked about Lula recovering from a cancer at that same apartment. And it was from Rede Globo de Televisão, okay? Globo's network television, one of the biggest television network in Brazil, unfortunately one of the biggest in the world. And they talked about it. Lula was recovering from a cancer treatment, that he had a throat cancer. I don't know if it was throat or something else, but he was recovering at that very same apartment that, he supposedly didn't have. Okay? So at the 12 minutes mark, she just loses complete sense of reality with a narrative that says that Bolsonaro won the election promising to kill black people, gays, and poor people. Do you guys think that someone who would have made such a promise in one of the most racial diverse countries in the world, with the majority of black people, would win the election? Guys, really? Brazil is one of the most diverse countries in the world. Every race in the world we've got in Brazil. And if Bolsonaro were to make such a promise, he would never, ever in the world win this election. Come on. That's such a lie. And she lied to the people's face all the time. Okay. At the 12:41 seconds mark, she says that a homicide rate has grown by 20% because of the police in Rio de Janeiro. But she forgot to mention that this rate has increased because of the police was allowed for the first time in years to do their jobs. I'll explain. Calm down. And those numbers that increased were drug dealers that were killed, that are violent and extremely well armed. Guys, the drug dealers from Brazil, they're really well armed. They have .50 cals. They have machine guns, they have cannons, they have bazookas, they have RPGs. They're really well armed, just as well armed as those militias from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from the ISIS. They really have a lot of money, and they really have a lot of firepower. Unfortunately, the police had to respond with equal or higher force, as it's supposed to be anywhere in the world. So, of course, the killing rate has raised in Rio de Janeiro for 20%. It is true. It is true. But it was the police doing their job by fighting back against crime, against drug dealers for the first time in years. Because during the government, during the office of Lula and Dilma, the drug dealers were able and were allowed to do anything they wanted because of their political correctness, and because they were complicit with drug dealers. They even talked to the drug dealers on the Workers' Party, and there are tapes of drug dealers talking about it. And those numbers, okay. At the 12:57 mark, she says that Rio State has more deaths than the whole 56 states of the United States, with 300 million people, while Brazil has only 200 million people marked right now. Okay, where did she get this data from anyway? I guess she got it from her own ass. Another delusion from the pot-filled mind where she implies that Bolsonaro were leading farmers to kill Indians, invading their lands, and burning the Amazon forest. Oh my God! Come on, stop smoking pot, women. Are you crazy? This can be true. This Petra Costa is really crazy. Stop smoking so much pot, woman. I gotta tell you, please, just stop. Okay? Please, world, please. Visit the Amazon forest. Visit the Amazon. See for yourself. I call out to everybody in the world, from Japan, United States, China, Germany, France, anywhere in the world. Visit the Amazon. See if the Amazon is burning. See if there are farmers trying to kill Indians and steal the lands. Please do so. See for yourself. Oh my God. At the 10 minutes mark, she says that the private companies were paying that to people to send messages that said that the candidate for Vice President, Manuela Dávila, had a baby with the devil. Really? Really, Petra? So, Brazilians are now stupid believers that will believe such a thing. In 2019 and 2018, Brazilians were that stupid. Are you calling us what? Oh, come on, Petra. You're not the only one smart enough, okay, to talk in another language, to learn things. Internet is over there to show the truth to everybody in the world, and you're clearly lying. You're a lying bitch, okay? Oh, Lord. Even the reporter was in disbelief at this time. He had some facial expressions that, could, denounce on his face that she was lying. You could see his face that she was lying. And you could see on her face that she was lying. And she wouldn't even believe her own lies. It was, on her face. You could see her facial expressions. It was really ugly. It was really ugly. She tries to push a narrative that people were being arrested just by using the red color in Brazil in the time of the election. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. I wasn't red sometimes on the Brazil's campaign because sometimes I only had a red t-shirt to use, and I was even flying a MAGA hat that is totally red in some of those campaigns for Bolsonaro, as I'm a Trump supporter as well, so I was flying a MAGA hat by the time. Brazilians knew who the enemy was, and we were being beaten by leftists on the streets and anywhere else where we would gather. We were fed up by it, and we started to fight back, and that's what happened. So leftists were attacking us anywhere we would gather, the right-wingers, okay? So there was a time that we had enough. We had enough, and that's it. No more taking a beat without doing anything else. No more being a good Samaritan. So we decided to fight back, and that's what started happening. And that's why we were, so divided in our country by leftists and right-wingers, okay? I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please comment, subscribe to my channel, activate the notifications bell, and do not forget to spread this video, share this video with everybody in order for people to know the truth about Petra Costa and her utter lies. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the video. See you next time. And this time is Elias out.